Hey everybody, welcome back to Comics Cosplay and Cons, and is Krypto a good dog? That's what we're looking at. This is part 2. Is he a good dog? We're looking at Adventure Comics number 210, which was released in March 2nd of 1955. It was, according to Google, it was also written by Otto Binder, drawn by George Papp, Kurt Swan, and Ramona Fredon. Forgive me. All right, so let's jump back in. Is Krypto a good dog? Is he a good boy? All right, here we go. I'll show you here. This is the comic we're looking at. There you can see Krypto carrying a safe. Boy, what if our dogs could carry around safes? All right, so welcome back. And we last left Krypto and Superboy in an odd situation. Krypto had bitten off the wing of an airplane. Now, what is your dog bitten that you wish he hadn't? Hopefully no one, and hopefully, he hasn't chewed up or destroyed anything, but, dogs can be a little playful sometimes, but it's kind of hard when your dog's a super dog. So as we return to the dynamic duo of Superboy, who remember was Superman prior to becoming who was Superboy before becoming Superman, and Krypto, his frisky canine. They're having a tug of war with the wing. Superboy's trying to get it back to, save the plane and the people on it, at least the pilot, whoever's on the plane. And so, yeah, they're having a tug of war. And yeah, what does Superboy do? How does he get this away from Krypto? Because Krypto is just as strong as Superboy. Well, he does what any good dog owner would do. He meows, right? Meows like a cat, and then Krypto takes off chasing after the cat. Well, he doesn't really know there's a cat not there, but Superboy has to do something so he can save this airplane. So then after he gets the wing back on, the plane is safe. The pilot was able to keep it stable. Superboy gets it pressurized, welds it back on. And so he realizes that when he's got a dog, like, it's not all just fun and games, that it's a responsibility. He's got responsibilities other than Krypto just, playing around with them all day. Because again, he bit off the wing of a plane. So it's like, all right, obviously this is not going to be all fun and games. So what are some responsibilities you have found out as a pet owner or a dog owner that you weren't thinking about? You're like, oh, I want a dog. They're so cute. I want a puppy. And then years later, you're like, oh, by the way, I realized that this also, I have to take care of this dog, and I didn't realize this would happen. So Clark and Krypto set out to make a doghouse, and Clark chains him up, after making the house, and gives him some bones. He's like, well, obviously he could, he's a super dog, but, these bones should keep him occupied here. Next, he gives him a good bath and a scrub. He's like, you're dirty, so I got to clean you up. It's not a conventional bath that Clark gives him, but does your dog like baths? What does he like? Or does he hate the water? Like, when you give your dog a bath, is he like yes, or is he like no? So the next day, we find out that Clark is after school. He's still excited that he's got Krypto. He's still happy to have him. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go play with Krypto. I'm going to be excited to see him, and I'm sure he's going to be happy to see me, right? Like, what dog and their owner aren't happy to see each other at the end of the day of work or school or play or whatever? You come back to that dog, and they're just excited. Well, Krypto is not like any other dog. He's got X-ray vision, so he can spot Clark miles away. Also, there's another thing that Clark has called telescopic vision, which I'm not sure if this plays in or not, but let's just say it does. It's where you can see really far distances away, like you out of a telescope, right? And so Krypto can see Clark, that he is Superboy, because he's got his costume on underneath. And so, Krypto wants to play fetch, but he doesn't just play fetch with any old bone or stick. No, it's a steel beam. And Clark is like, Krypto, what are you doing? A steel beam? Like, okay, so it's one thing if your dog likes to play fetch, but he's probably playing with sticks, bones, or rubber toys, or rubber balls, whatever it may be, a tennis ball. But a steel, he's like, oh, I'm going to fetch Superboy a steel thing because I can, right? He's not an ordinary dog. He's a super dog. And so, yeah, he's like, all right, I'm going to go fetch this beam And Clark's like, all right, we got to put this back. So he's carrying it. But then all of a sudden he spots one of his friends, Lana Lang. And he's like, uh-oh, come on, Krypto. We got to get into this alley because, like, look, I can't have my identity exposed, right? I mean, that's one of the big things of Superman. Like, Clark Kent has to remain an identity for him. Let me know, do you think his identity is important, or do you think he should just tell the world his secret? But in this case, he's wanting to keep his secret, and so therefore, he's like, all right, Krypto, we got to go. So, and obviously carrying around a steel beam, that might give it away, among other things. But he's also like, look, Krypto, like, I can't have her figuring out you're a super dog, so here, fetch. So he throws the beam, and he's like, go fetch it. And then he's like, in space. Outer space. So obviously he's Superboy, super strength, so he just throws it away. So does your dog like to play fetch? Do you play fetch with your dog? What are some other responsibilities dog owners or pet owners have in general? Or what are some things your dog has chewed up that you're like, oh my gosh, I just can't stand? So what happens next? Did Lana see Krypto, or did she see Superboy, either one of them carrying the beam? Like, and if so, like, what's going to happen? Like, what happened to Krypto? Like, he's going to fetch this beam. Does he bring it back? What happens? Hopefully, we could enjoy our pets. We could play with them, but none of them hopefully go fetch a steel beam from a building or somewhere. And we're like, oh, crap, I can't get this. Anyways, so yeah. So what happens next? Well, tune in next time, part 3 of our series, our finale of Is Krypto a Good Dog? What do you think so far? I mean, so far he's bitten off an airplane wing. So far he's brought a steel beam. And yeah, even his tail can break rocks. So, like, I'm not saying he's a bad dog, but, like, man, he is quite the handful, right? Yeah, I mean, what would you do if you had a super dog, right? And what are some things that would have been, you think about, oh my gosh, if this dog were a super dog, I can't even imagine. Like, my whole house might be destroyed, right? Or whatever. So fun to think about. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Comics, Cosplays, and Cons. I am your host, Brent. Tune in next time. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks. Have a great day.